from Machine Gun Kelly, a famous gangster of the 1930s, whose real name was George Kelly Barnes. When the machine gun and sawed-off shotgun became the preferred weapon of gangsters like Machine Gun Kelly and John Dillinger, Congress, with bipartisan support, had no problem effectively outlawing machine guns and sawed-off shotguns in 1934. It seemed like the right thing to do. Congress could think of no reason why gangsters should be able to get Thompson submachine guns, which were developed for the Army as a weapon of war. Republicans supported outlawing machine guns. Democratic President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the bill into law, 1934. Richard Nixon was the most right-wing Republican president of the 20th century when he was elected in 1968. He appointed Warren Burger as Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Warren Burger was a lifelong Republican from Minnesota who supported Republican Dwight Eisenhower's presidential campaign. Earl Warren served in President Eisenhower's Justice Department before President Eisenhower appointed him a federal appeals court judge in Washington, D.C., and it was from that position that Richard Nixon elevated Warren Burger to be the highest-ranking Republican-appointed judge in the land, Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. And 5 years after he retired from the Supreme Court, lifelong Republican Warren Burger said this in 1991.
If I were writing the Bill of Rights now, there wouldn't be any such thing as the Second Amendment.
Which says?
That a well-regulated militia being necessary for the defense of the state, the people's rights to bear arms. This has been the subject of one of the greatest pieces of fraud, I repeat the word fraud, on the American public by special interest groups that I have ever seen in my lifetime. Now just look at those words. There are only 3 lines to that amendment. A well-regulated militia. If the militia, which was going to be the state army, was going to be well-regulated, why shouldn't 16 and 17 and 18 or any other age persons be regulated in the use of arms the way an automobile is regulated?
Fraud. The Republican Party has fully embraced a fraudulent interpretation of the Second Amendment to mean that the founders of this country intended for every 18-year-old in Texas and everyone older than that to be able to buy a 21st century version of a machine gun, an AR-15, and nothing can be done to restrict that right in any way. None of the founders believed anything like that.
Evil.